We saw a bit of a pullback on global markets yesterday, but the JSE continuing to power ahead, coming off its high point today, but still higher at this point of the afternoon.
Yes, the JSE is holding on to those gains, and yesterday we saw the US markets actually at their worst by the time we closed, even though they closed well off those lows, justifying our strong finish yesterday. Again today holding on to some gains, but really running out of a bit of steam at the moment, and we are waiting with bated breath to see where the rest of the day takes us.
Of course, we did have that rand weakness coming through yesterday and continuing today, which of course will help our mining shares. And we also had platinum stocks, which have been surprisingly strong, and we had Anglo Plat up about over 4% yesterday.
Yes, the platinum stocks have had a tremendous run, and although they're feeling a little bit soft today, they're holding on to the majority of their somewhat close to 20%, in fact 30% gains since when was it, early July. So strong run from them, and they're really holding on to them, which is fantastic.
What do you think is driving those platinum stocks and the platinum price indeed at this point?
Yes, I think the platinum price has also had a very good run since early July, and that's also holding on to those gains. And really I think the optimism about the economy and the turnaround globally, one of the first or the best beneficiaries would be the sectors that were hit the hardest, being the automotive sectors. And so it's a really big play on the global economic turnaround to be in the platinum sector.
And of course, we have seen our car sales figures out this week, and they were slightly disappointing, not much of a recovery there. But the US car sector really is showing a recovery, so that demand is going to come through at some point, isn't it, Grant?
Well, I would think so. You've got the cash for clunkers as well, which is also improving demand on that side. But there is going to come a point at which the economy really has to catch up, and I think it applies generally to the entire market. You know, from here, the next 6 months are crucial.
To what extent do you think that the potential Eskom strike could be weighing on the rand at this stage and also boosting that platinum price? Because of course we saw last year when we did have those power blackouts that the mining sector was quite hard hit, and we did see the platinum price affected by it back then.
Yes, platinum is always a metal that does respond to supply side constraints and disruptions. So there is a chance that strike could spike, cause a little spike in the platinum price. I don't think that's a really big factor at the moment in what we've seen, to be honest. Certainly the Eskom strike may be impacting the rand. Speaking to the forex traders, they seem to be of the opinion that it's more underperformance relative to other emerging market currencies, given that we actually overperformed on the strength side as well.
And of course that rand weakness will give some respite to our mining companies, because of course we saw those results out of Goldfields this morning, and it's been impacted by the strong rand, and it expects to be impacted by the strong rand going forward, so a little bit of a respite for them. What do you think of those numbers?
Yeah, I think the numbers were pretty much in line with the expectations. They were hurt, well, they were down about 31% and hurt a little bit by the rand gold price. But really what was good there was the production looks good. From an operational level, they're still going very well. They do seem to be coming under pressure from the cost side. There's quite a push from the cost side, so one needs to be careful of that. Looking at the market reaction today, they're underperforming their peers on the gold side slightly, which does indicate that perhaps the market was looking for a little bit more.
And of course, just on that cost side, we've got the wage negotiations, which were recently wound up, and a 10% increase for its workers. We also have those electricity tariffs, a 34% increase in the price of electricity. So there is going to be pressure on our mining companies from the cost side, and that's all the mining companies, of course.
Yes, definitely. I mean, the 30-odd% increase in electricity is going to feed through very quickly straight to their bottom line. They're very dependent on electricity supply. And also the wages. I mean, our wage negotiations are coming in well ahead of CPI across the board, and that cost line is going to hit. It's going to come through across the whole sector, yes.
Well, another commodity that has been holding on to its recent gains is the oil price. We had oil above $75 a barrel, and it really just seems to be powering ahead at this stage and holding on to these gains. What do you think is pricing in here? Is it pricing in a global economic recovery? Do you think oil price can stay at these levels?
It really does seem to be pricing in a sustainable recovery, and I'm really impressed with how the oil price has held on to these strong gains. Close to the 75 level, there's a lot in the price, although some are still calling it higher, and I guess that remains to be seen, but the price action thus far suggests there's more upside to come.
Well, we also had those results out this morning from Liberty Holdings. Its share price is slightly under pressure, although the earnings were actually flagged quite well in a trading update last week, so there was no real big surprises there, were there?
No, there weren't too many surprises. What was interesting to note is that the number of policy lapses were very high. That had a big impact on their bottom line, and relative to their peers, mutuals and Sanlams, they were coming in a little bit worse there. And they took a couple of other one-off knocks in the forex side and also on the equity market exposure.
Of course, I see the share price has now turned around. It's now trading 1/3% higher. It was weaker earlier in the day. But yesterday on those old mutual results, a good reception from the market. We had the share price up 4 to 5% towards the end of the day.
Yes, I think people are still relieved and welcoming the turnaround from the lows of last year in Old Mutual, and very well received, it looks like.
Just looking at the run in the markets that we've seen over the past few weeks, and we've seen the share prices, particularly in those resources stocks like Anglo American and Billiton, really ramp up and not really giving back any of those gains. Do you think we're going to sustain this run at this point, Grant?
Well, these are crucial levels. It's a real test at the moment. They've had a hard run, and really, can they push through from here is the question on everyone's mind. Even if they don't necessarily pull back, they just consolidate around these levels for a little while, it will set them up for another move on the upside. From my point of view, if I don't see a significant pullback fairly shortly, I think there will be another move higher.